Good morning to everybody. I'm Steve Bosquet, the opinion editor for the Sun Sentinel. And Ms. Ruiz-Nicolas, please pronounce your first name.
Guithele, like guitar?
Yes. Okay, Guithele. All right.
Got it.
And someone I've known for a very long time, Hazelle Rogers, is with us. Good morning, Hazelle.
Good morning.
With us is Dan Sweeney, who's our deputy opinion editor. Lisa Hurriash is here, who is covers county government for the Sun Sentinel. I want to state, just for the record, that the editorial recommendations of the Sun Sentinel are made by the editorial board with no input whatsoever from people in the newsroom. But we certainly welcome the participation of news reporters to ask thoughtful questions and help voters make a decision in this very important race. So with that, we'll get things underway. We'll all be asking you questions, and if there's ever a time when you feel you want to amplify a comment, or your opponent said something you feel you'd like to address, you'll have that opportunity. This is not a debate in that sense, but it's a open exchange of ideas and your philosophies about government. Ms. Ruiz-Nicolas, I'd like to ask you, in your experience in Broward County, living in Broward, have you ever had to use a county service, and what was that like? Have you ridden a county bus, been to a county park, been to the Governmental Center? I'm sure you have. Tell us what your experiences with Broward County government have been like.
It has been extensive, Steve. First of all, I want to say thank you for the opportunity to really interview with you this morning. I moved to Broward County in 1986. And working for the Urban League of Broward County at the time, it gave me an opportunity to truly know what the county is like, being that it was such a critical time for Broward County. I've done Leadership Broward, therefore, I've really studied each of the system, including the public transportation system, which in fact, my last paper was on that. I've also worked for Broward County in the Human Services Department, which is all about improving the quality of life of our residents, particularly in the unincorporated Broward, where the county is responsible. I am intricately involved in Broward County and know the systems, the ins and outs, the players, the needs, as well as the opportunities. So I feel pretty confident that I'll be able to, everything on my platform are low-hanging fruits. I'll be able to hit the ground running to talk about and to solve those platform issues that I have in an innovative area, because I have studied best practices throughout the country to really recommend programs as well as legislation to Broward County elected officials.
Okay. Give us a specific example of something that Broward County does not do well, county government, something they're failing at.
I think the county is really doing a good job. Nevertheless, one of the areas I have had issues with is that we've become so diverse as a county. In fact, this new district is predominantly African American, Caribbean. One of the things that I would like to see enhanced is the communication aspect of how we govern. What are the opportunities that are available to every segment of the community? What I am finding in my campaign trail is that many of the constituents of District 9 do not know what's available to them. For example, many of the businesses, they really do not know what type of opportunities are available to them. Many of the individuals do not know about the rental assistance program. And it's not because the county is not doing a good job. It's simply when you have a diverse district or a diverse county, you've got to be able to know how to meet those needs, how to outreach, and how to communicate to ensure that the delivery of service is equitable and it reaches everyone.
Okay. Good morning to Hazelle Rogers. Ms. Rogers, please tell us why you're running. And I'd like you to address the question I just asked to Ms. Ruiz-Nicolas. I would like a specific example of something that the county's not doing well that you would emphasize.
Okay, good morning, and I should say thanks for inviting us. Thanks for giving me this opportunity to speak on this issue. Yes, I'm Hazelle Rogers, current mayor of City of Lauderdale Lakes. Previous to being the mayor, I was a state representative for 8 years and served my full term. And prior to that, 12 years as a city commissioner in the City of Lauderdale Lakes. Yes, I'm a career politician, if that's what they call it. I would say I'm a career public servant based on the things that I've been able to achieve and advocate for and implement based on policies that I've introduced in Tallahassee, based on initiatives that I've recommended, worked towards, and making sure that we deliver services to our residents. Yes, I'll agree with my colleague that we are in a diverse county, a diverse state, yes. And I've seen Broward County and all of the resources from the various governmental or constitutional officers who have to get their budget approved by the county. I've seen where they are engaging in making sure they can communicate to our diverse population, be it Haitian, French, Creole, people from other countries in South America. We are trying here in the country, but it's never always what the constituents believe we're doing. We can never please everyone, and we try. So as we speak to whether or not the county is reaching out to all of its constituents, I say yes. I am District 9. We have cities that are responsible for taking care of their constituents. As a county commissioner, I know that I will be working with all of the mayor and elected official to deliver the services that is needed for their constituents. And of course, we do it in Lauderdale Lakes currently. And if we have to translate some of our information, if we have to put the right staff that speaks the language, we have done that. So I have that experience of making sure and ensuring that we are reaching all of our constituents. And as we continue to grow, I would hope that we would be that voice that will make a difference. I don't wait for any one commissioner to say something. I believe that we are there to represent. It is our voice that will make a difference. I thank you.
Okay. Is Ms. Ruiz-Nicolas correct, Hazelle, that a lot of people in Broward don't know that the county has a rental assistance program? Is that true?
Well,
I was asking Ms. Rogers.
And I will say it is up to, I don't know what they don't get from Broward County right now. I know cities are getting the resources. It's for the cities to do what they are doing and make those money count. You know, they're taxpayers and they rely on government. But I can agree that in my city, I will hear constituents tell me they did not know. So I'm always sharing information. So I'm not surprised.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Rogers, what's the approximate size of the current Broward County budget?
I think it's 9.6 billion. The last time I looked.
Ms. Ruiz-Nicolas, can you tell us what the size of the Broward County budget is?
the Broward County's budget is about $5 million.
I'm looking at the Broward County website, and maybe I should have said operating budget.
Okay.
The current operating budget of the county is about $5.6 million.
I don't know. Okay.
What? Yeah.
May I, if I may?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, you know, Mayor Rogers, I agree with what you're saying. I think one of the things I want to emphasize, and as a county commissioner, I will, when you serve a diverse population, having one staff person speaking the language or serving a community is not enough. We have got to know how our constituents receive messages and communicate. So yes, it's good to translate in Creole. It's good to translate in Spanish. Nevertheless, a lot of people do not read. They're working 2 jobs. They need to listen to different radio. They need to listen to different even the social media is not enough. So what I am suggesting is not really what people are saying they don't know because the county is not doing. I think when we're serving a diverse population, we've got to really change the mechanism we're using to communicate.
Okay, can I respond?
Yes, briefly, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, I do agree with you. And you know that I know that we have to have the new radio stations that are speaking the language and engaging the community. We use those resources also. And as I said earlier, it's for the person that's in that seat. It's our responsibility to make sure we deliver those services to and those ideas and those platforms and whatever we call it, make sure we are inclusive so we are reaching the constituents. And that's what I do as an elected official. I recognize it and I do it.
Mayor Rogers, good point you brought up there. What's the best, or name one, what is a good radio station that to reach non-English speaking residents of District 9?
I can tell you 1320, 1170 AM. I know WZOP. Guithele will help me on the others. I know the numbers that you dial to listen to the radio station. I'm on 3 different ones and trying to get the message out to my constituents, as always, so they know where the resources are. But that's my responsibility as an elected official.
Guithele?
Yes, thank you so much. And those radio stations are fine. 1380 is 24/7, 980 is 24/7. When we speak about the Creole speaking population, we are in a district where 21% of our constituents are Hispanic. They're Spanish speaking, and their best means of getting information is through Telemundo, it's through television where they have the novellas and so forth. And of course, when we have our Asian American population, which consists of 6% of the district, we've got to be able to reach them through the mosque and through other religious organizations. So again, it's not a one-fits-all mechanism to communicate with our diverse population.
Thank you, Miss. And if I appear to be interrupting, it's only to cover as much ground as possible.
I understand.
I don't want to be impolite. Mr. Ruiz-Nicolas, what language do you speak other than English?
I speak English, French, Creole, and some Spanish.
Where were you born?
I was born in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, and I came to the United States at the age of 11.
Very good. And tell us where you lived during your teenage years.
My teenage years were beautiful years in New York City. My parents lived in Brooklyn. I attended high school in Westchester County at Riverdale Country School, got my bachelor's degree at Pace University, and in 1986 moved here in Broward County to help my mother take care of my sick father. So I've been here since 1986.
Okay. Miss Rogers, where were you born and raised?
Born in Kingston, Jamaica, came to this country in 1969 and lived in Brooklyn also, and completed my high school in Brooklyn, Tilden High, and went to Pace also. I didn't graduate from Pace, then we relocated to Broward County in 1981.
Remind me, where's Pace University located? Is that in White Plains?
There is a campus in White Plains, which used to be it used to be an all-girls school, but I attended the school that was in Manhattan, Lower Manhattan.
Okay. You are two of you are both excellent examples of the tremendous diversity in Broward County. I want to ask a question of both of you that's a little bit sensitive, but it comes up in many, many conversations. And it certainly came up a lot in the 2020 election cycle in the back and forth in some of the Democratic primaries. I'll start with you, Guithele. Is there tension? Is there a lack of compatibility between the Caribbean American community and the African American community in Broward County? And if so, why is that?
Well, I have to tell you, for the past 25 years, I've worked in inclusion and equity. So my role was always to really bridge the different cultures. For example, in the city of Hollywood, I was a human relations director, and my role was to get the community to work together. It's all about understanding. It's all about communicating. I tell people, us as African American, the first thing people see is our skin color. Therefore, really working in silos and delineating each other, African American, it is essential because our history is very different. Nevertheless, we are one people. Everything I have done in my career and in my life has always been to unify our community, to unify the African American community, the Caribbean community, to the Jewish community, with the Jewish community, with the Hispanic community. I was the first one to create the African American Advisory Board for the city of Hollywood, which included several individuals of African descent. The Hispanic Advisory Council, again, several segments of the Latina community together. So again, it's all about how we go about unifying our community. And I believe I am ready to do that.
Okay. The same question to you, Hazelle Rogers.
Okay, thank you. And that's the easy one for me also, because in a diverse county, you have to have communication. You have to be having conversation. And Dr. Jerry Kohler was one of those leaders in the days that we were meeting at 7:30 in the morning, having conversation about our community and how we can work together and how we should be working together. We don't need to divide ourselves. But as it is in the census, you need to know the population and how diverse it is. There's information when I'm marketing myself, I need to know who I'm marketing to. So there's reason. My doctor would say women, Black women, Caribbean women have the largest fibroids. Okay, so if that's the case, you need to know you need the resources, since we are part of this population, to be able to live and survive. But I truly believe it's all in conversation, and we need to continue to use our children. They are the future, and engage them in conversation so we don't have this risk. It's all about peace and love for everyone. Respect also. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. That's all right. Ms. Rogers, you've got, unlike your opponent, you've got, I'm counting here, you've got well over 2 decades in elective office in Broward County. What do you consider your proudest accomplishment?
Well, I would say when I went to Tallahassee and had to present my first bill, a bill that I never presented in the House. It had to do with mental health and substance abuse, trying to merge those departments and those services so that we can pay attention, more attention. And I had to present that bill in the Senate. And for me, that was unnerving, but it was necessary, because if I didn't get that bill presented at that time, it would not pass. So that was one of my accomplishments, because today we can use those resources and we can look at that model as we deal with other, we need to deal with gun violence here in our communities and understand that there are issues, mental health issues. Even then, that was important to me, and I made sure that happened. As it relates to the city of Lauderdale Lakes, I will speak to advancing ideas around economic development and forming the CRA in my city, which is today benefiting numerous residential or commercial businesses, and just sustaining economic development and identifying resources, going to Tallahassee or Washington, recognizing that we are a donor county and that we have to advocate for the resources that we need to benefit Broward County.
Okay. I'm going to pause and I'm going to open the floor to my colleagues, Lisa and to Dan Sweeney, for questions.
May I please I want to say something, if I may, on this?
Yes, very briefly.
Very briefly. I think as a community, we have failed very badly when it comes to mental health. I am just always looking at people with mental health issues who are criminalized. They're put in the prison system without the necessary resources for care. So that's an area I'm very passionate about. I think we have a long way to go.
All right, thank you. Dan and Lisa, if you have questions, now's a good time.
Okay, Dan, should I go first?
Yeah, go ahead, Lisa.
Okay, if you can both please address the 911 issues. I'm sure you've both been reading about the problems with emergency responders. We have a situation where a baby died in Broward County. Nobody answered the phone. We have a house that burned down in Hollywood. There's been issues, and those are just the ones that we even know about. So if you can both please address, because at the end of the day, Broward County is the one that owns the system. If you can both please address your goal in making sure that what needs to be fixed gets fixed.
Okay, that's sad, the incidents that we are experiencing here as it relates to the 911 system. Okay, I strongly believe that workforce, how we pay our workforce, how we prioritize training is critical to some of the issues that we do have. Being on the outside and hearing about this issue, and I'm an elected official, and I'm hearing it from the press and conversation. So I know that we need to pay our staff well. We are losing staff, even in local government in cities, to other cities because of our rate of pay. We need to make sure that we provide services to our residents. And if we're responsible for 911, yes, we have to make sure we evaluate the system. It's not the technology that is having the problem. It's the personalities. It's the people that we're losing. We're training and losing staff at the same time. So,
Ms. Rogers, has your city received any complaints from residents about calling 911 and not getting anyone to answer, or not getting anyone to answer fast enough?
None has reported to my city that I know of, but I know we have BSO and they're responsive, and there's no reason for the 911 system not to work. And what we're hearing has to do with staffing, not technology. So
Right.
we need to do better in bringing in, training our staff and paying people. Workforce is critical. And this is a new emerging industry. This is technology at work. It should be saving lives, not putting lives at risk.
May I?
Yes, go ahead, Guithele, yes.
Thank you. Thank you again. I've been following this issue, and I actually went to the county meeting when I saw they funded $4 million to pay emergency workers. To me, money is not the answer to all problems. The problem with the 911 worker, I believe, is that the position is misclassified. It is a position that women have held mostly. It is underpaid. They're not trained properly. They are our first responders. When you look at other first responders, police officers, firefighter, EMS, they go through an academy, not only to get the skills, but to determine if they are best fit in terms of their temperament for the position. The system is at Broward County. They're working at BSO. I think a third party, such as, I would recommend working with a local university to create a curriculum for an academy where 911 workers go through that training, just like police officers, just like firefighters and EMS, for a period of time. They're working with the technology. They're getting the actual skills in behavioral health, how to handle crisis. And in the process, those who are not fit for the job will not be able to go through. Once that's done, let's pay them appropriately. It's not a secretarial job, nor an administrative job. And we treat it as such. Therefore, until we classify that position as a first-time responder, it will not be fixed. So I urge the county, I don't want to see lives wasted, and I don't want to see people die. We've got to work with the local colleges to get the people to be competent enough to serve our community.
May I ask, other cities that do have their own system, it is working. We're not hearing of this problem. And if it's educating the staff, That should have been part of the conversation from day one. Every job that you get, you have to show your qualification. So the curriculum or the process for training, that should be first and foremost. You don't send a dentist into a room that he needs to do a heart surgery. It just does not work. So if that is the reason for the problems we're having, that they're lacking in training, classification is just a terminology. You need to be qualified for that position. And however you get to that, you should know whether or not someone is mentally capable of handling stress. You need to have those discussions. It is like the towers when the planes are coming in and all of that. You need to be able to deal with those issues. You have lives that you're responsible for.
Okay. Let me
interject.
interject briefly. I'm just asking Guithele, you were shaking your head no while Ms. Rogers was speaking. Why?
I'm shaking my head because the qualification right now that BSO require when they are recruiting is a high school diploma. A high school diploma. I have a 17, 18-year-old who has a high school diploma and applies as a 911 worker. I am sorry. That person may not be able to handle crisis. The retention issue we're having, it's not because the people don't need the money. They're feeling the pressure. Lives are in their hands. They're feeling inadequately trained, inadequately capable of doing the job. So a high school diploma, we need to ask more for a high school diploma. I believe certification for 911 workers is what we need.
And I will not, Steve, guys.
Yes, go ahead. Yeah.
Don't disagree that we need to classify, but I don't agree that that is not happening. They did some classification. It's just not fitting for that position. They have to have something written that says, okay, you have to be over 18. Every job says that, but not because you're over 18, you're qualified, you have the temperament, you have the experience. So that has to come into play, and it's the responsibility. You were part of HR, so you understand all of that goes in to determine whether or not that person is a fit for that position. Not everyone, one size does not fit all. And I agree with you. The bottom line is we're here to save lives, and that person must be able to handle the stress. That is a stressful position, and it needs to be dealt with in that manner.
Okay. I would just say that, Lisa, if you have a follow-up question about this, go ahead. This is an interesting subject. What I'm hearing is a concern that basically the qualifications are too low for 911 call center employees. That's what I heard from Ms. Ruiz-Nicolas, at least.
I'm saying a little more than that. The qualifications are low. What I am saying is there needs to be, just like the firefighters, they have to go to the fire academy. Police officers have to go to an academy because the 911 workers are first responders. I am suggesting that they become certified 911 workers by going, whether it's a 2-month institute or program, where again, we can see all of that. Police officers, they have to take psychological exams.
Yes.
I understand. Okay. Yep.
Ms. Ruiz-Nicolas, is there any county, city, what have you, that does a program like this that you would kind of base this on as a model?
I've read a bit about it, and then that seems to be the direction that they're recommending with 911 workers. And again, it's because the position has not been properly classified. For example, it becomes an administrative position, which is not. Police officers are protective services, and that's what 911 workers are. So many cities, many counties are doing that. We can be innovative. We don't have to follow what other people are doing. Get with Broward College, get with FAU, say, This is what we need from a 911 worker. They've got to be able to do this, do that. The program person can create a curriculum to meet the needs of our county and offer the courses and the programs and whatever testing is necessary to ensure that the people are a good fit. We have programs like that that determines if they'll fit into a particular career.
Okay, I understand. Lisa, did you have any follow-up questions? I had a question or two. Okay. I'll start with Ms. Ruiz-Nicolas. Your resume. There we go. You look as though you've switched jobs almost every year or every 2 years since 2008. Can you explain why the job hopping? Just looking at the resume and not knowing a lot about you, it's it raises some red flags. So can you describe why exactly your career path sort of hops all around like that?
Absolutely. Nowadays, they don't call it job hopping. I think it's important for people, and you will see with the millennials, they go from one job to another. I have to tell you, there are times when you are in human resources in certain positions, there are things I will not compromise. I will not compromise my principles. When I am asked to hire someone who may not be a good fit for the position, or that if an issue happened, they can no longer qualify. So in HR, very often, I will find myself in that position. I will also find myself in position where when my city manager is terminated, the new city manager does not keep their own staff. That is a very critical position in HR. And I can tell you almost many of the organizations I've been in. Politically, if you don't play the game, if you don't want to hire, for example, I've been asked to hire somebody as a police officer who has had a battery charge. I am sorry. I will not do that. The job is not as important for me to compromise those principles. That disqualifies the person. And it doesn't matter if the person is the son of the mayor or the son of an elected official. I will not do it.
Is that the same person you're talking about there? That there was a son of an elected official who had a battery charge you were told to hire in a job?
Well, that's an example.
That happened in Hollywood?
No, Hollywood is one of my model cities.
I'd like you to tell us where this incident happened. What city?
I have to tell you, when I was with the city of Opelika, I was asked to hire someone who did not qualify. When my city manager, Clarence Patterson, who was a very well-respected public administration, he was the first African-American public works director who became the city manager in that city. Guess what? They fired him. They fired him because he did not want to fire me because I did not hire this person. Unfortunately, may his soul rest in peace. Those are the kinds of things. I do not compromise my values.
Tell us exactly, Guithele, tell us exactly what you do or did for Broward College.
I am in charge. Well, I am part of a team for a wonderful program at Broward College. It's called Broward Up. Broward Up is an innovative idea that really kind of closes the gap when we talk about equity and inclusion. President Hale created a program realizing that many people in the minority community are not able to go to college, either because they cannot get financial aid or they don't have the money. So Broward Up offers post-secondary education opportunities to people in several cities, including my mayor here. That City of Lauderdale Lakes is one of my partners. City of Lauderhill is one of my partners, North Lauderdale. I manage a caseload of students. I do their intake to determine where they are in their lives and where they can go with the program. We put them through programs. They get certified. For example, the healthcare industry is an area that we have a shortage of staff. So we train them, excuse me, in the healthcare industry, whether it's medical assistant, EKG technician. We train them. Once they get their certification, if they need money for the test, we give them money through an
Okay.
emergency funding. So that's how we close the gap until they get a job in the field that they're certified for.
Thank you. Okay. I've got a couple more questions. Dan, you want to continue, or is that okay?
I had one for Ms. Rogers. I can come back to
Go
it
ahead. Yes, go ahead.
Ms. Rogers, a couple of days ago, the blog Red Broward reported that your campaign had given $25,000 to Purple Bird Communications, a Delaware incorporated company that shares an address with your campaign office. Can you tell me what that company is and who owns it, who controls it?
Okay, I have a staff and a team that works with me, volunteers with me to manage my campaign. All right. So I heard the same information yesterday. I know, and I don't have all the details. I'm learning and finding out issues around who that company is, if they are certified and they're doing, all I'm concerned about is getting the work done. Getting people, can I continue?
So,
Okay.
Go ahead.
You contract with numerous people to do different things within your campaign. And I have a campaign strategist and group of campaign consultants, and I follow their guidance and their lead. And if there's an issue with a company because it's out of state, or I don't know if the company has done anything that is wrong, I don't know, but you can help me and educate me. But I know that after I saw it, I went looking. All right.
But they share an address with your campaign office.
They do? They don't?
The company, Purple Bird
they
Communications, it's a Delaware incorporated company, but the address listed for it is the same P.O. box that's listed as your campaign headquarters.
I can assure you that is incorrect. We can have that conversation. I don't know how that came up as having an address with my campaign, because my campaign does not have an address other than my house. That is where I'm operating this campaign out of my house. Then I do have a P.O. box. So I did not know that P.O. box is being used on anything for that company. But it can be explained. Trust me on that.
Ms. Rogers, just a follow-up question, if you don't mind. I mean, it's very easy to incorporate a business in the state of Florida. Why did a company that's working on your campaign need to be incorporated in Delaware?
I did not know I personally was not involved in dealing with, I have someone managing the contracts and and everything for my campaign. But I will look into it. I have no issues with explaining anything. Steve, you know me. I am frank and open and transparent as day.
Well,
let's information and share.
Let's be fully transparent. I've got your campaign report on my screen here. Are you, Ms. Rogers, are you your own campaign treasurer? Are you the treasurer of your campaign?
I think I'm listed as a signer on my campaign, but if you look at all the checks, you might not see me signing not one, because
we don't see the checks. But I mean, you're the candidate. June 16th, your campaign gave $3,000 to Purple Bird Communications, Post Office Box 6083, Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
And that sounds familiar. That is my P.O. box that I've had for years. Okay, but Steve, I can tell you, I will find out, how that is. So write that down as one of the things that I must respond. I'm writing that down also.
Sure, okay. There was, we stand behind and are responsible for everything we report. We're not responsible for what that information reported by other news organizations, but we do read it. That same article that Dan Sweeney referenced on the Red Broward website said that Hazelle Rogers has a history of making campaign violations involving campaign finances. Is that a true statement?
Negatives, no. And they need to clear up what they're talking about. You can't just throw things out there and
okay,
it's not verified.
Ms. Ruiz-Nicolas, do you know what we're talking about here? Do you have any comment about it?
I have to tell you, I've been so busy with my campaign, I am not aware of it. But what I do want to say is this is my first time running. I am involved in every aspect of my campaign. My husband and I, we sign the checks, we know the vendors, and I'm not aware of the issue, but I know it's a lot, and I particularly have my hands on everything.
Okay, thank you. I just want to, I'm sure I'm speaking for my colleague Dan Sweeney and Ms. Rogers, before we issue the endorsement in this race. I think we want to know who owns Purple Bird Communications. Who is that? Right, Dan?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah. I just, from what it looks like right now, given that it shares an address with your campaign office, it looks as though you're paying yourself or a family member for campaign work. So that's what it looks like right now. And I just want to know, specifically who owns that company and why they share an address with you. That's all.
Okay. But trust me, no family member, no one in my family or even my closest volunteers are being paid. They are volunteers for us. But yes, we do have contractual services with other providers.
okay. I have a campaign related question for Guithele. I noticed that that you qualified to make the ballot by collecting the alternative method, which is to collect signed petitions from registered voters in the district. I think it's about 1,800 people. Ms. Rogers paid a qualifying fee, which is her right. There are two ways to get on the ballot. Why did you decide to qualify by petition, Guithele?
I am running a grassroots campaign, and as you will see, I don't get money from corporations and so forth. So I had to really work very hard in order to avoid that $6,300 fee. So I worked day and night to get those petitions signed because I knew I couldn't afford to pay for it. So I'm very glad. I was told I was the only candidate who qualified by petition. So I'm thankful for those who signed those petitions. We worked very hard, my volunteers and I.
Did you yourself collect some of those petitions, you personally?
Oh, yes. In the cities.
Give us some examples. Give us some examples of locations where you collected petitions.
I go in front of Walmart. I went to the Walmart on 441 in Lauderdale Lakes. I've collected many petitions there. I've gone to churches in my district to collect there. I've gone to events such as City of Sunrise, Plantation have had events like Relay for Life. I have gone to many of these events to collect petitions. So it was an opportunity for me to really connect with my voters, talk and hear what they have to say, as well as me seeing how I can best, serve them. So it was a lot of work, but I work hard. By nature, I'm a hard worker.
Okay. I've got a yes or no question for both of you. I want to start with Ms. Rogers. Do you want to say something?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
I too decided I wanted to participate in the petition process to meet residents and voters in the new area of that district. So I spent most of my time, attending the various, we bumped into each other at all of those events, but I had a different focus. I wanted to focus on that new area of the district. And that's what I did. So I collected over 1,300 petitions. Not all of them made it because, some people just did not understand the process. So when you analyze some, we had to take some of those petitions out. But I feel that is a good way of connecting with your community, with your constituents, just being engaged. I'm a grassroots person. That's how I win election. I win it by votes, and getting 66% of votes, meaning you're doing something good. And that's all I strive for. My name means a lot to me. My character and how I'm perceived is very, very important to me. So we'll have another conversation. You'll get whatever information you need to determine whether or not any of my family members are getting any funding from contribution that should be used on the ground, grassroots, to get people out to vote, to share information so they know the candidate of their choice. So they will make a choice, and hopefully that choice will be Hazelle Rogers for District 9.
Okay. Go ahead, Dan.
I've looked over your campaign finance documents throughout your time in the State House, and I just want to address what you said, that you having a history of campaign finance issues is not true. Your first couple of campaigns for the state house, you did the petition process yourself and all of that, and it looks pretty clean as far as letters from FEC and everything. But your 2014 campaign, you received at least 5 audit letters. Is that right? That's your last campaign?
I have to go back, honestly.
That's a long time ago, I know.
Okay.
Okay. I'll
2014 audit letters.
yeah, 20.
Okay, I will go back and explain it. I will send you something about explaining.
Okay, thank you.
And I just have one more question on this, Hazelle. Again, the $3,000 expenditure your campaign made in June to Purple Bird Communications was for, quote, design marketing materials.
Okay.
Can you describe for us the nature of the materials that money paid for?
Okay, I don't have the invoice in front of me, but the first things that I was doing was designing flyers and banners and just materials that I need to put out on the street.
Okay.
Okay, that's where you start.
Hazelle, I've got a yes or no question for both of you, actually, but I'll start with you, Ms. Rogers. Yes or no? Are there too many cities in Broward County?
I don't think so.
Guithele?
I
No,
don't think so either.
Okay. Hazel Rogers, is this a good idea? I am holding up, I know I'm on a phone here. I'm holding up the new voter information card that Supervisor of Elections Joe Scott has sent to more than 1 million voters in Broward County. You've seen news stories and letters to the editor in the Sun Sentinel. This is not going over well with a lot of people, and you've got a lot of active voters in District 9. Ms. Rogers, was this a good way to send voter cards to voters?
Steve, I don't know if that is not the voter's registration card. Is that an informational document? It has 3 sections on that card. One speaks to if you want to register or change anything. I don't have it in front of me, but I know it was 3 areas that were information was being shared.
Okay.
You're saying cost.
I'm bringing this up because everyone knows that the Broward County Commission funds the budget every year of the Supervisor of Elections office. It's an independent office, but it gets its money from the county commission. Guithele, what is your opinion, if you have one, about these voter information cards?
I think it's very confusing. First of all, they went out way too late because we're just 2 weeks away from ballots being in the mail. They're too late. It's very confusing because even my husband and I, who are educated, we could not tell whether those were voting cards. We took them, they're so big, we folded them and put them in our wallet because it is our understanding it is the new voter registration card. I think it's a bad idea. Very confusing.
Okay.
Can I respond?
Before you do, I just want to say something for the record that, and we've reported on this, as has my colleague Lisa Huriash. They are not voter registration cards. They are voter information cards. However, people use them for different things, but you can't present this as a form of ID to vote. You must present something that has both your photograph and your signature on it, and this card has neither. But Broward is the only county in the state with these large-sized cards that are being distributed. In most places, they are small enough to fit in your wallet, and they're made of like paper. These are cardboard. But go ahead, Hazelle.
I just wanted to just state that it is for informational purposes only, and I don't think you need an education to know whether or not something is educational. Yes, it's bulky and all of that, but I knew from day one that it was not the voter's registration card. Right under a section, the 3rd section of that document, it says redistricting. So they're trying to, and he does have town hall meetings. He does come out to city commission. He was with the Haitian Democratic Club this past Sunday, sharing information. Yes, the information came out late, but the census process was also late. And information, knowing your precinct, we were waiting just recently. We know all the precincts and locations within our county, within our district. Yes, it's late, but there are process previous to what the supervisor is doing that had created this delay.
Okay.
If I may.
Very briefly. Yep.
District 19 consists of so many people who are new to the voting system and so forth. What I would have done, if it is an informational piece of document, I would have put it in a letter. I would have explained what it is and sent it out. By voting this, I am telling you, my community and many people in District 9 will be very confused.
Guithele, at the start of that comment, you used the term District 19. Is that that's what I heard?
No, District 9.
9. Okay, 9. Okay, very good. Hazelle, have any current members of the Broward County Commission endorsed your candidacy?
Yes, I'm Steve Geller.
Okay.
Yes,
Guithele.
that's the name I would share.
Okay. Guithele, you've had a lot of experience in local government at a staff level. What endorsement, if any, do you have from any individual or organization that we should take note of?
I have some very good endorsement. State Representative Marie Woodson endorsed me. You have Vice Mayor Beaujolin endorsed me, former Senator Eleanor Sobel, former State House Representative Elaine Schwartz, and then the Broward Network. The education for me in this, and I think it speaks to my colleague here, when you are not an elected official and you are running against an elected official, everybody is hands off the new candidate. So that has been my experience, but I do understand.
Why is everybody hands off the new candidate?
It's usually because Mayor Hazelle Rogers has been around for a very long time. Many of them have worked with her, and I do understand, and they do not want to take sides. Many of them will say, I'm staying out of it. I'm staying out of it because out of respect for her, they've worked with her. Me, I'm the new kid on the block. They're not going to put their necks out there for me.
Okay. All right. I think that we've been at this for a good hour, and this has been a very spirited, good conversation. I think we'll wrap it up there. Ms. Rogers, your hand is raised. You want to say something?
Yes, just to say,
sure.
I too am having challenges getting endorsement because things are different. Everyone wants to make sure that they are not creating any adverse situation for themselves when they are ready to run. So those are some of the issues that we're faced with. But I do have my endorsements. And yes, it's all about my service to the communities, not because I'm all of that. I like what I do. I work for my constituents. I create opportunities, always educating this diverse community when there was no one else to run up and make sure that Broward County is being fair with what we do and how we distribute resources and how we communicate. It was Hazelle Rogers being that voice for that new residents, that immigrant community, and making sure there's no divide in our community by forming and being the foundation member for the Greater Caribbean American Chamber of Commerce, the Greater Caribbean Cultural Coalition, foundation member to Miss Lamont, attending her meeting when there was no one else. Hazelle Rogers was a part of the Haitian American Democratic Club. I am a part of when the Hispanic Unity coordinated citizenship drive with that entity. Okay, I don't speak Spanish, but we know there's things that we must do as community organization, and I made myself available. Hazelle Rogers is everywhere, not just for me, for the residents who need me the most.
Okay.
And I thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. And in an abundance of fairness, I'm going to let that was more of a concluding statement, and that's fine. I'm going to let Guithele Ruiz-Nicolas make a similar statement. Go ahead, Guithele.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bousquet.
Yes.
I have, as I mentioned, I have been a community servant for 30 years. I do it because I'm passionate about it. And I'm one of those who believe where you want to see change or when you want to see change, you have to be the change. This is how I've lived my public service life. Many of the organizations that my colleague mentioned, I have been on their board. You know, you look at Hispanic Unity, president of the Haitian American Democratic Club, First Call for Help, the Red Cross, Service has always been part of my family. I've seen my grandmother feed the hungry. So for us, it's always been about service. It's never about us. It's never about us. It's about the difference you can make in the community. And that's what I plan to do as the next Broward County Commissioner for District 9.
Okay. I appreciate that very much. Thank you for your questionnaires. Thanks for your answers to our questions. We'll be following up. Both of you have a very nice day and good luck to you both.
Thank you so much. Really
Bye.
appreciate the opportunity.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Bye.